experience with Dermaben here. Karibuni sana. Karibuni. Major breakthrough in parenting a special child with a smile is when both the parents get to the same level of acceptance, seeing things from the same angle. The greatest struggle and hindrance is when both the parents are at different levels or stages. That is when one is still in denial while the other one has already accepted. The longer you take to accept, the longer the route to your healing. The faster you take to accept, the faster the route to your healing. I'm seated listening to the doctor as he interprets the report that I had just handed to him. This was after noticing a behavioral change with our son, and it was getting frequent. So I decided to take him for a medical checkup, and we were advised to do some tests. So on this day, I was there to see the doctor ready with our results. And so he was seated there reading and interpreting report as he was checking and reading from the computer. And I remember so well one thing that he mentioned, and I got disconnected. As he was reading and interpreting the report, I remember him saying, "Now that your child has cerebral palsy, this explains," but let me tell you, before he continued with "this explains," I did not get any other word from there. Denial and confusion had checked in. All along I knew we had milestone delays. Then this, I cried buckets. I thank God for that doctor. Though he had a long queue, he took his time to talk to me and even to counsel me. I cried because I had little knowledge on cerebral palsy condition. And so after that, I did my research, and now I know better. A story for another day. Nothing had changed, only that this time we had a name to what was causing his milestone delays. It was a quiet afternoon come evening, but I thank God for his faithfulness. Let me talk to you who has received your baby's diagnosis, and you've gone for a second opinion or even a third opinion, and the results are still the same. Your baby has a condition that cannot be treated, only managed. And there you are, confused and in denial. For others, they start the blame game, blaming the medics, blaming the spouse, blaming people around you, blaming yourself, and worse still, blaming God. For me, at first, I blamed the medics. I felt as if they had messed up in the process. I felt like they had not done enough. I remember asking my doctor what was wrong with the baby, because from the word go, when I gave birth to him, when I went to see him, he was already in the ICU. And these were the doctor's words: "I don't know. I sincerely don't know." And he could come daily to check on the baby. He didn't know, and he had no idea what had happened to the baby. With time, I let it go, and I started blaming myself. What if I had done things differently? I remember I had not carried my pregnancy to full term. This was because it was a selective CS due to previous scars, and the doctor had advised me that we should do it earlier, like 2 weeks before, to avoid any complication. And so I felt like, and started blaming myself, like if I had carried this pregnancy to full term, maybe the case would have been different. And this went on for some time, until one day when I was in one of the therapy sessions, I met with another lady. As she was telling me her story, I remember her telling me one thing that changed my thinking. She told me that her due date was long overdue. She had carried her pregnancy for 40 or 41 weeks, and her regrets were she wished if the doctors would have done surgery at week 38 or 39. She believed that if that would have happened, maybe the case of her child would be different. And the moment I heard that from her, I stopped blaming myself. I stopped thinking that the case would have been different. And I accepted the situation. Probably if I had not met with that lady, I would be carrying that heavy burden till today. In other scenarios, you find spouses blaming each other. You will hear them say to each other, this is not found in our bloodline. This is not found in our clan. It must be from your people. To some, it has led to marriage breakups. I have met with ladies who have been left by their partners to carry the burden alone. How sad. How sad. For others, they blame God, questioning why He allowed that to happen to their child. They get angry at God. Let me tell you what denial does. It stresses you up. This is because when you look at the child, you know for sure he or she isn't okay. But you don't want to seek medical intervention. You're not ready to process that information. You cannot accept the reality. Denial robs you of the efforts of seeking medical help. After all, the baby is okay, and with time he will or she will get better with no medical intervention. Denial breaks relationships. You fight anyone who tries to bring or to drive sense into you about your child, including your spouse, your parents, your friends. You fight everybody. That's what denial does. And as I say, it breaks relationships. For others, it breaks their relationships with God. I remember a lady who once told me she didn't have the energy and the desire to go back to church, and she was born again. Her reasons were that God had abandoned her, and that's why her baby was going through much pain. That's why her baby was in that condition. I kept on encouraging her. I hope to meet her one day. To those who are born again, be careful to tell when it's faith at work or denial at work. Because at times you will see that your baby needs medical attention, but there you are saying that let's wait on God because you're still in denial. So be careful to tell if it's faith at work or denial at work. Let me encourage you who is in denial. I was once there. I didn't have the courage to share my journey with anyone apart from few of my family members. Though I must accept, it is still hard. When asked about my son's prognosis, I usually say it's milestone delays. My tongue has totally refused to pronounce cerebral palsy. So it is a journey. It's a journey. Back to my question. After receiving and confirming your baby's diagnosis, what's next? That takes us to pointer number 1, accepting. Acceptance comes from knowing and believing that all things work together for good to them that love God. Acceptance comes when you shun away from the blame game. Blaming the doctors, your spouse, your children, those who are around you. Blaming yourself, and worse still, blaming God. Acceptance comes from accepting that something is beyond your control and you cannot change unless God does. Acceptance comes from knowing that if God allowed it, then He has the power, the strength, and enough grace to see you through it. Allow me to read this word from 1 Corinthians 10:13. The temptations in your life are no different from what others experience, and God is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. When you are tempted, He will show you a way out so that you can endure. Acceptance comes when you realize that God had the power to stop it from happening, but it did happen anyway. I want to leave you with some words that were spoken by Jennifer Young, Robert Tew, and Leon Brown. Jennifer Young said, "Pause and remember, when you fight reality, you will lose every time. Once you accept the situation for what it truly is, not what you want it to be, you are then free to move forward." Robert Tew said, "What you deny or ignore, you delay. What you accept and face, you conquer." And finally, Leon Brown said, "The pain will not go away by getting angry or bitter. It will go away when you learn to accept life's challenges with grace and ease." God bless you. Nawapenda sana. Let's meet in my next video as we look at pointer number 2. Bye bye.